Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Curious Mountain Man by Casey Cox. Narrated by Kirt Graves. Chapter 1. Branum. My skin prickles. Eyes are on me. I can feel it. My survival instincts are well honed. A childhood spent on the run with a father, hiding from the law, needing to keep a low profile, constantly keeping a lookout over my shoulder, has equipped me with a sixth sense for these things. I kick off my hiking shoes and peel the shirt off my sweaty back, dropping it onto the jagged edge of a boulder. Lifting my arms overhead for a much-needed stretch after a 5-hour hike, I stare out at the river that runs through the back of my 50-acre property. I'm moving normally, acting natural. I'm not sensing danger, just a presence. And if someone has trespassed onto my land and is watching me, they're about to get more than they bargained for. I unzip my shorts and push them down my legs and step out of them. Then I hook my thumbs into the waistband of my briefs and do the same. I stand to full height, soaking in the rays as they stream down on my naked body. I'm the middle child of 3 brothers, but I'm much larger than Herrick and Marsh. Running my timber yard not only keeps me plenty busy, it also means I'm in pretty decent shape. Good thing, too, because while my metabolism may be slowing down in my 30s, my appetite sure ain't. I turn my head from side to side, slowly, like I'm simply taking in the rugged landscape and beautiful tall pine trees, not trying to clock from which direction I'm being spied on. I click my jaw to clear my ears, on the hunt for any sound, any indication, to confirm I'm not alone. Nothing. But that doesn't mean there's no one here. It just means they're good at being stealthy. I climb onto the giant boulder and curl my toes over the edge before I dive in. The cool blue water sets off a tingling sensation as it washes over my heated skin. I love being in nature. Sky, water, mountains. The elements ground me and make me come alive at the same time, remind me of what's real. If it's an outdoor activity, hiking, swimming, fishing, you name it, I'm in. I swim underwater for as long as I can hold my breath before bobbing to the surface. I flip onto my back and float for a while, gazing up at the endlessly blue sky. The sun beats down on parts of my body that are breaching the surface of the water. My face, my toes, my shoulders, my cock. I reach down and readjust my dick, resting it flat along my stomach. It starts to thicken. I'm not an exhibitionist by any means, but there's no harm in toying with my anonymous onlooker, is there? If they don't like what they're seeing, they're free to leave and trespass on someone else's land whenever they want. No one's holding a gun to their head. After all, they're invading my privacy. I run my fingers along the underside of my exposed cock, and as it grows, it rises into the air. A droplet of pre-cum purls at the slit. I lift my head so that my ears are fully out of the water. Still nothing but the sound of the river flowing and birds chirping. And then, a crackle, like someone stepping on a twig or fallen branch. My pulse accelerates, but I don't let it show. It could be an animal, or if it is a human visitor, it's most likely a lost tourist. Even though I live on the outer edges of Thickhead, the charming mountain town attracts a swarm of year-round tourists to the region. There's a hiking trail a few miles away from my property line. Maybe someone took a wrong turn. I stop floating and stand in the waist-deep water, swiping my hands through my slick hair, brushing it off my face. I make my way toward the water's edge, taking long, deep strides, letting my eyes roam through the thick forest, trying to catch a glimpse of whoever is there. I haul myself up onto the giant rock I dove in from and pat myself dry with my t-shirt. I bend down to gather my clothes when I hear a sound to my right. Footsteps. Dropping everything, I race off in the direction of the sound. Yep, somebody is definitely on my property. I give chase. The thing about running barefoot in a forest is that it kills your feet. As keen as I am to find out who my intruder is, a few prickly twigs spike painfully into my soles, quickly putting an end to things. Damn it. They're getting away. I scan my surroundings, hoping to catch a glimpse of whoever it is. Suddenly, in the gap between two massive trees, a person comes into my line of sight. They're hightailing it out of here as fast as they can, but for a few brief seconds, I get a clear, unobstructed view. It's a man, wearing a navy blue shirt with a black backpack flung over his shoulders. But it's not what he's wearing that captures my attention. No. The detail my eyes fixate on is the mop of red curls on top of his head. I have my answer. I know who my unexpected guest is. He slips out of view, but I stand there, grinning like an idiot. A naked idiot. But it looks like this naked idiot is about to pay a visit to the local library. Chapter 2. PJ. 5, 6, 7, 8 taps on the top left corner of the book with my left hand. I then silently count out 8 taps on the top right corner of the book with my right hand. Good. Things are even. I'm balanced. PJ? My boss's voice startles me, even though it's barely more than a whisper. I turn around from where I've been processing books and sorting them onto the returns trolley, organizing them by genre and author surname. What's up, Trevor? Someone just walked in. Can you please serve them? I've got to jump in for kids' reading hour. Go and read to the children. I wave him off. I'll take care of everything else. Trevor sends me a grateful smile. You're the best. Thanks, PJ. No problem. Trevor takes off for the reading room in the corner of the small library, while I spin around and stride toward the counter. I take exactly 2 steps before screeching to a standstill. My eyes widen and my entire chest clenches. There's a man standing at the counter. Not just any man, though. It's the same man I spotted in the woods yesterday, except this time he's wearing clothes, a green flannel shirt over a black t-shirt, to be exact. Which is a shame, because he looked great naked. His golden skin glistened in the mid-afternoon sun, and his body looked like it belonged on the cover of one of the many, many romance novels I own. Solid, rugged, manly. What is he doing here? With my heart thundering in my chest, I approach the counter. I only saw him from a distance yesterday. Now, standing so close to him, I can make out the color of his dark eyes. They're fixed on me as I get closer. I also notice how thick and luscious his brown hair is, and I glimpse the first few strands of gray starting to pepper his full, thick beard. That's sexy. Oh God, did he see me yesterday? I hoped I'd managed to sneak off without him noticing, but what if he saw me? Am I in trouble? Did I do something wrong? Or maybe it's purely a coincidence that he's showing up right now. Maybe he wants to, I don't know, borrow a book or something. The powerful stare he's aiming my way makes me think that's unlikely. I place my palms on the counter, inhale, and as I breathe out, I summon the strength to look up at him. Jesus, he's tall. I mean, everyone's tall compared to me, but he's got to be at least 6'4", maybe more. My eyes meet his. Turns out I was wrong about their color. Yes, they're a dark, chocolatey brown, but there are flecks of gray swirling in them, too. They're beautiful. He's beautiful. And most likely pissed at me for spying on him, even though that wasn't my intention. I was on the lookout for a mountain bluebird. The hot-as-heck lumberjack I stumbled upon was a completely unexpected surprise. A pleasant surprise, sure, but I don't go around peeping on naked guys. That's gross. I got a little lost and was trying to find my way back to the hiking trail. I drop my hands to my thighs and tap each leg exactly 5 times. I'm a librarian. I'm a professional. I can handle this. I put on a bright smile. Good morning. How may I help you? The giant mountain man stares at me for a few moments. I'd like 1 ticket, please. His voice is as deep and thick as I may or may not have imagined it would be. 1 ticket for what? Here. I'd like to come in here. He looks around the library. I can't tell if he's having me on or not. You don't need to pay admission to come in, I tell him with a straight face, in case he's being serious. This is a public space. Everyone is welcome. Okay. He glances around again. And what? Everyone's allowed to take whatever book they want? Borrow. People can borrow books, and then they return them. And how do I borrow a book? You know what? I actually think he's being legit. He really doesn't know. And something about that is both charming and a little concerning at the same time. But I won't judge him for it. Lord knows I've been on the receiving end of people's criticisms my whole life. It's a horrible feeling. I guess some people don't know the ins and outs of how public libraries work. That's nothing to be ashamed of. If you'd like to borrow books, I can sign you up so you become a member. I see. And how much is that? I smile because the cuteness is just too much. Nothing. It's free. Okay, let's do it. Sign me up. His brown eyes drift to my name badge. PJ. I latch onto the countertop for support. My name has never sounded so sexy or so husky. Ever. I walk over to the computer and he follows from the other side of the counter. All right, let's start with your personal details. Name? Branum Grady Duncan. I swallow a grin. Aw, he supplied his middle name. I remain professional as I collect his remaining information, before explaining how things work and printing out his library card. I managed to do a pretty good job of ignoring how deliciously attractive he is. Full disclosure, I have a thing for mountain men. It's not the only reason why I moved to Thickhead, but I'm not going to deny that the thought of getting swept off my feet by one of the big, burly alpha mountain men I read about in my romance novels every night may have played some part. Except, in the books I read, the character who the mountain man falls in love with isn't a nerdy ginger librarian with OCD, a passion for birdwatching, and a strong preference for staying at home curled up on the couch with a good book, rather than doing anything involving people. That said, as far as meet-cutes go, catching a glimpse of a handsome, barrel-chested, naked guy in the river ranks pretty highly. But is it really a meet-cute if we didn't actually meet? Great. Thanks, PJ. I'm snapped back to reality by Branum's deep voice. I look up at him and smile shyly. I must have reached the end of my new member spiel. Okay, so maybe I haven't been doing as good a job as I thought I was at staying professional. But in my defense, how often does a romance cover model-worthy muscled mountain man swoop into my otherwise plain and boring existence? Never. Well, apart from yesterday at the river. Oh yeah, that. Did Branum see me yesterday? Is that why he's here? Or is a man who thought he had to pay an admission fee to enter the library really here to borrow a book? My smile fades as Branum just stands there looking at me. He doesn't seem mad, more like he's, I don't know, curious. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. But then why does he keep staring at me? It can't be because he's attracted to me, that's for sure. Kids in high school took my initials and renamed me Plain Jane because, well, I'm as plain as they come. Except for the red hair, I guess. And the freckly face. And the mismatched eyes. They're all things that make me stick out, but not in a good way. And personality-wise, there really is nothing that stands out about me, good, bad, or otherwise. I clear my throat and stare into those deep, dark eyes. Is there anything else I can do for you? No. You've been a big help. Thank you, PJ. Chapter 3. Branum. Thanks for helping out with this, my younger brother Herrick says, handing me another massive cardboard box. I make sure I've got a good grip on it before I take it from the bedroom downstairs into the living room to add it to the rest of the boxes we've been putting there all morning. Don't mention it, I mutter over my shoulder. He really is great, I overhear Eddie, my brother's boyfriend, say as I leave the room. I smile to myself, happy that my brother has finally found someone. Marsh and I had been worried about him after he came back from serving. He was closed off, reserved, possibly even depressed. So unlike the talkative, annoying dipshit kid we grew up with and loved. But the truth is, Herrick had been a changed man ever since circumstances tore him and Eddie apart 11 years ago, during the summer they first met. I'm glad fate, well, a rainstorm and some good timing, brought them back together. Eddie's a great guy, and he's done the unthinkable. He's brought the old Herrick back from the dead. Guess love really is that powerful. Not that I know that much about that. Fate hasn't blessed me in that area of my life. I drop the box into the living room and swing around to go back for more, when my mind revisits my trip to the library yesterday. I felt like such a damn fool, asking PJ those basic questions. But apart from a couple of times at school, I'd never set foot in a library before. I only knew I'd find him there because I heard some people talking about my red-haired intruder arriving in Thickhead recently, and one of them mentioned he worked at the library. PJ. My smile grows. What a cool name. What an intriguing guy. What a sexy guy. His fiercely red curly hair framed his face and matched the freckles that dotted his nose and cheeks. He had the cutest button nose and sweet pink lips. And his eyes. I'd never seen eyes like that before. One light brown, the other a dazzling green. Not to mention he was tiny. I could probably lift him up with one arm and throw him over my shoulder. Fuck me. I've never met anyone who's had that sort of an immediate effect on me, and I haven't been able to get PJ out of my head since the moment I left the library. Herrick and Eddie meet me at the top of the stairs, empty-handed. No more boxes, I ask. Oh, there's plenty more, Eddie responds with a smile. But I heard from a very reliable and incredibly attractive source that if I don't feed you every 3 hours, I may not make it through the day alive. Thanks for ratting me out. I grin at my brother. What's your boyfriend going to think of me? Only good things, Eddie assures me with a laugh. Now come on, we've worked up an appetite too. You like pancakes, Branum? My eyes light up. Do I ever? 15 minutes later, the three of us are scoffing down what, for me, will be the first of at least 3 plates of pancakes at the pancake pantry. We came before the lunchtime rush, so managed to score a corner booth. Eddie's received an offer on his father's house, Herrick tells me, glazing his pancakes in maple syrup. That's why we're in such a rush to get everything out. That's great news, I say to Eddie. You gonna take it? Yeah, I think I will. He stops eating. It's bringing up a whole bunch of emotions being back there. He turns to my brother, and Eddie's eyes start to well. I look over at Herrick, and damn, his eyes are turning glassy too. Man, this love thing is intense, especially with their history. I let them have their moment while I excuse myself and head back to the counter to order another plate of pancakes, this time chocolate. When I return, they're back to normal, but they're sitting closer to each other. Heard you were at the library yesterday, Herrick says with a shit-eating grin. Gotta say, I was surprised. Didn't think you could read. I flip him off and laugh. Brotherly banter, even if he has no idea how close to the truth his words are. No one does. I've managed to hide it all my life. But when I was at the library yesterday, I noticed there was a group of young kids being read to. I'd like to be able to do that myself one day. Read. Properly, that is. I get by, barely. I don't want to break a sweat every time I open a freaking letter or come across a sign. Thankfully, I've got a secretary who takes care of all my comms for me, and like I said, I can read basic things, but it's not enough. It's embarrassing to admit, but I'm lost. I don't want to be lost anymore. Herrick snaps his fingers in front of my face. Earth to Branum. Sorry, must have spaced out there for a moment. So, the library, he picks up. Why were you there? Did you need to take a piss or something? No, My second plate arrives. Thanks, Mrs. K. No problem. Enjoy, hun. Let me know if you need anything else. Thanks, I will. She leaves and I push the plate away, causing Herrick to narrow his eyes in suspicion. Yeah, me pushing food away is that unusual. I'd been planning on telling my brothers soon anyway, but since I got busted at the library, it seems like a good time to tell one of them at least. I'm thinking of getting my GED, I announce, then explain to Eddie. I dropped out of school early. He gives a small nod. How early? 9th grade. Herrick's brow is furrowed, his jaw set tight. Our fucking father. It's not his fault, I say, since I'm always the one who defends him. Well, it's not only his fault. Herrick stares at me intensely. What's that supposed to mean? It means... I take a breath. It means I can't read very well. I never learned. Not properly, anyway. Oh, they both say at the same time. Yeah. Oh. I've been thinking about this for a while, but I'd like to learn to read, and then I'd like to sit the GED. I see, Herrick says, taking it all in. Sorry if this is a stupid question or out of line, but you run a business, don't you? Eddie asks. I run a timber yard. Not like I need a PhD for that. And like I said, I can read some. I'm also great at faking it, and I get help whenever it comes to anything complicated. Herrick's intense eyes land on me. Is that why you always come to me with contracts to review? I scratch the back of my neck. Yeah. He gives me a small nod. If you want to get your GED and learn to read, that's great, man. I fully support you, and if you need anything, Eddie interjects, and Herrick smiles. If you need anything, we are both here for you. Thank you. Both. And sorry about my stupid joke before, Herrick says. I wouldn't have said it if I'd known. It's fine. No one knows. What about Marsh? I shake my head. I'll tell him next. Right. I look between them. Then, taking advantage of the lull in conversation, I pull my plate back and set about destroying the chocolate stack. It's only when I'm about halfway done that a thought occurs to me. Wait, I finish chewing. How did you know I was at the library yesterday? It's thickhead, Herrick replies with a shrug. Everyone knows everything around here. You take a big enough dump in the morning, and by lunchtime you're the talk of the town. I look down at the gooey, chocolatey mess on my plate and push it away again. Thanks for that. There's a new librarian working there, Eddie supplies, smiling. Think he might be gay, too. That's so. Yeah, I ran into him last week. He seems nice. I love his red hair. He struck me as unique, but in a good way. In what way, exactly, I ask. My brother shoots me a questioning look. Why do you care? Just curious. Right, Herrick smirks. You wouldn't happen to have a thing for library boy, would you? Fuck off. I turn back to Eddie. Did he say anything else? Not really, only that he's new in town and he asked about good places for birdwatching. I suggested the hiking trail near your place, actually. Huh. So that explains how PJ ended up on my property. He must have wandered off the path. Thank you, universe. What's the guy's name? Herrick asks Eddie. PJ, I reply, and my brother's face lights up like a freaking Christmas tree. He had a name badge on, I grumble, in an attempt to diffuse whatever scenario his pea-brain is concocting. Sure he did. Oh, and looky here. Now that you'll be studying for your GED, I guess you'll need to spend a lot more time at the library. With PJ. Yeah. I drag the plate back and lick my lips. I suppose I will. Chapter 4. PJ. He's back, Trevor sing-song whispers in my ear. I close my eyes as a smile stretches my lips. There's only one person my boss can be referring to. The same person who's been stopping by the library every afternoon this week. Branum Grady Duncan. I see. And you're telling me this because... Trevor rolls his eyes. Oh, come on. Please tell me you're not really that clueless. You have to see it. See what? The way that man stares at you. Seriously, I walk past where he's sitting just to make sure he's not pleasuring himself under the table. Sure, that's the reason. Aha. Aha what? So you admit he's good-looking? I never said he wasn't. And hell, after seeing him naked, you'll never hear me say otherwise. Great. So we're on the same page then, Trevor says. I lean my hip against the counter and slowly sweep my gaze across the room. It's late afternoon, so it's starting to get quieter. This is the time Branum normally comes in. And yep, there he is, sitting in what's become his usual spot, a small table with a direct line of sight to the front counter. He's wearing a red and black flannel shirt over a white tee. His messenger bag is flung open on the table, books and papers scattered about in front of him. I wonder what he's studying. And, yep, like always, he's looking this way. This way, not at me. Important distinction. Same page. I turn back to my boss. What are you talking about? Trevor turns so his back is to Branum and lifts a hand. You're a cute guy. He lifts another hand. He's a fucking mountain god sent from the heavens above. He smushes his palms together and rubs them like they're sticks, and he's trying to start a fire. I tap each of my fingers against my thumb 3 times before coming out with, anyone ever tell you your worldview of the complexities of gay relationships is highly nuanced? Trevor smiles. Anyone ever tell you that you're not as good at deflecting and playing dumb as you think you are? Come on, tell me the truth. You know he's here for you, right? He's here to read, or study by the looks of things. He's here to check out the stunningly cute new-in-town librarian. Trust me, I know. How? PJ, darling, I've worn my tightest, most butt-hugging pants all week. I've sauntered and shimmied around that man every time he comes in. And has he dragged his eyes away from you to me even once during that time? N-O. Fuck the books and fuck reading. It's you. That man is here for you. Well, when he puts it like that. I have books to shelve, I tell him. And for the record, you have a great ass, and I'm sure someone someday soon will appreciate it. Trevor makes the fingers crossed gesture, and I set off on my way. My trolley is perfectly organized as always, enabling me to start at the far end of the general fiction section and move through the books row by row until I reach history. I'm easing the trolley around a corner into the next aisle when 2 teenagers break apart and scurry away. I chuckle to myself. Is it wrong that it warms my heart a little that teenagers are still making out in libraries? Can't say I ever had that experience growing up. Hard to find time to make out with someone when you're dodging bullies and getting picked on mercilessly every day. High school was a nightmare. My sexuality and my mental health issues collided, and it wasn't fun. I was literally counting down the days until it was over, and I could get the hell out of there. Most kids leave small towns for the big city. Not me. I knew the noise, the rush of traffic, the crowds of people would be too much chaos for me to handle. I lived in a couple of other small towns, but it never really worked. But from the moment the Greyhound dropped me off on the main street in Thickhead, it felt right. There's something magical about this place and the people who live here. They celebrate diversity and difference. Maybe that's why I gelled with it so quickly. I'm returning books, lost in my thoughts, and I'm not really paying attention. So as I turn, I run smack bang into someone. A very tall, very solid someone. A strong.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?